Let's analyze Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem. Notice how, in this 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, we've been dealing with a bearish trap, which we consider very important. After the trap, we can see the price has come to test a defense zone. Remember, we gave great importance to prioritizing a bullish market, as this trap forced us to be positive about the crypto ecosystem. Now, if we analyze how Bitcoin has been compressed against a relevant structure, which is the defense zone, indicated by the rectangle you see here below. Yesterday afternoon, we observed the breakout of the creek, which in other words is an advanced guideline that went to look for the major creek. This level is the parent of levels, and breakouts of advanced guidelines are often preludes to breakouts of major structures. And this is what we are going to analyze in this video. If we move to the order flow chart, here you will observe the same structure and how we broke that advanced guideline. With that said, let's zoom in a bit and see what we paid attention to. Initially, let's look at the candle that breaks the structure, accompanied by strong volume, and of course, a delta where the ask outweighs the bid. This means that buying force was very present in this candle, which happened to break through the structure we were observing as highly relevant. With this in mind, we have drawn a volume profile for this entire rise. Here, what we will focus on is the migration of the volume profile as the price has discovered new levels, as this migration indicates that institutional intent is strongly positioned towards bullish sentiment. And well, this is nothing that we hadn't already speculated on weeks ago. After having this trap while seeking the test in the defense zone, then giving strong priority to the direction of longs. Basically, during this last rise, smart money has revealed itself even more. So now let's zoom in a bit and open up the candles in the channel. We want to see their interior to understand how the price was auctioned during the rise. This is an advanced technical analysis that we will try to break down into key points to make it as digestible as possible. So look, after seeing the breakout, here we identify the cluster and the clusters where this volume profile was concentrated, indicating significant transactional presence, and as we can see, directional as well. This is where smart money positioned itself for the first time in this idea of longs, after placing themselves much lower. You understand? This is the initial positioning of the continuing idea that started much lower. Well, if we move up a bit, notice how completely misguided investors tried to sell what we had already been seeing from a much lower defense zone, a forecasted rise. And these sellers, believe me, considering how the price has behaved, are having a tough time today. We are going to emphasize the same point where we identified buying clusters that have indeed pushed and continued past institutional purchases. That's why we have drawn a yellow rectangle here. This rectangle represents a zone of significant transactional interest where we clearly see smart money positioned for longs. Simultaneously, we observe that retail investors attempted to sell in a very wrong area. This ultimately offers us a dual perspective that I will share with you to understand why this level is so relevant in the short and immediate term. But before that, welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity. Previously on Crypto Insight, we had been observing how retail investors were selling while large institutions were buying in a key area of interest, which we have marked with a rectangle. And let's see why we give importance to this level. Notice this aggressive price threat, where we start to see those shorts unable to move the price. If you want to understand why the price stopped exactly where it did, we need to look at the volume profile. Look, notice the following. The price tends to seek out low volume nodes, as these are price zones. In this case, throughout this rise, where transactional interest has been non-existent. That's why we see this type of reaction when the price reaches this level. And this is the reason we see the price reacting where it has, no more, no less. So, if we zoom out a bit and bring this level to our traditional chart, this is where we are going to interpret the following. As I mentioned earlier, having such a clear structural trap, followed by a test breaking through an advanced guideline to seek the creek. All this, if we were already positive about the ecosystem around the defense zone, is certainly the best zone Bitcoin for buying opportunities. Now, after seeing the entire development, we must continue to prioritize longs unless proven otherwise. And to the question, when will it be proven otherwise? Well, look, the reason we went after those investors who attempted to sell here, and look why they tried to sell. If we draw a horizontal line, here we identify a creek, a level that even a kindergarten child could identify, and that's where they started selling. But of course, these investors were not familiar with crypto insight. They didn't see the trap, they didn't see the test, they didn't see the break of the guideline that really matters. And that's where they started selling. That's what happens. Well, if we want to see a healthy bullish continuation and say that this range ends up being an accumulation process to take us upwards, what should we be looking for in this chart? Initially, to maintain aggressive bullish continuity, we must not lose this structure. Now, I'll tell you that the price range of this rectangle is between $64,523 and $64,255 approximately. Therefore, as long as the price doesn't exceed this structure, it might set a trap. You're familiar with how smart money operates, but if this zone holds, we can bet on breaking the creek and looking upwards. In other words, we might see Bitcoin attempt a test or a small trap, but then it would aim to break the creek and confirm it, allowing us to look upwards. Clearly, Bitcoin is not obliged to test this level. For us, it's a control point. What do I mean by this? It doesn't have to visit that level, and Bitcoin might break, test and move sooner rather than later. Again, this is a control point, and we're not trying to use a crystal ball to predict market moves. I think it's quite clear that if institutions buying at this level allow the price to break and lose this structure, the implication for the next price movement would be quite clear. So ultimately, we need to analyze and understand the positioning of smart money, observe how the price reacts to these structures, and then make a decision, but never try to guess the direction. Now, look at the Cardano chart in its 4-hour time frame. Remember how we worked on this in previous videos? We imagined a bullish impulse, seeing a W here, a weak Y, and then living through a Z. We said we didn't know when the cone would end because its duration isn't predictable. But regardless of how long it takes to continue, whether it's long or short, it doesn't matter. We were waiting for the breakout, and upon the bullish breakout of the cone, we would have a signal to keep rising. And this is what we have ended up seeing. What can we look for? Of course, it's what we've been seeking for quite some time now. It was something like this, but to be honest, I'm not too thrilled about it, although I am excited. Yes, because it's serious. It tells us, hey, maybe we're at the magical difficult point, but it could be to continue the narrative of up, down, up, down, up, down. Now that you're in tune with what was happening and understand that the concept of a Z breaking this wedge made us positive about the crypto ecosystem, this was accompanied by what we were seeing in Bitcoin. Ultimately, we perform cross-technical analysis, and this helps us. All right, now that we are looking at this Cardano structure, we have a well-identified bearish channel. And now, it looks like we're trying to break it. But at the same time, if we look at Solana, and don't worry, we'll get back to Cardano soon, we see how the price respected the defense zone. Remember, the message was that if this zone holds, thanks to cross-analysis and what we see in Bitcoin and Cardano's Z, Solana should rise from the defense zone. And there you have it. What we're seeing here is how the price is impacting the origin of the breakout. Notice how significant this event was, where we have a giant black swan right in front of us. That's why we drew this guideline and marked the significant event with this circle, the black swan. Now, see how the price comes to seek the origin of the breakout. And that's where we are currently impacting. And if we briefly look at Ethereum, here you also have that Z we were evaluating a breakout upwards as we were hitting a key level, something we mentioned in previous videos. Now that we see we are facing a Z, this Z can extend as much as it wants. We don't know how long. It's an enigma. In summary, this could continue to fall. But we must always keep in mind that we are facing an inverse. Here, we need to assess whether the defense zone remains protected, and soon we will go after that macro Z. Notice how Ethereum has now sought that creek and is currently impacting it, just as Polkadot is. In summary, you have Polkadot impacting a relevant creek, Ethereum also impacting a relevant creek, Solana impacting the origin of the breakout, a significant level, Bitcoin knocking on the door to take off, and Cardano breaking the structure, rising 6.40% at the time of recording. What a marvel! So see what the message is. If we prioritize this idea of longs in the market, some might be displeased, thinking that technical analysis analysis means that if we prioritize longs, the price has to rise immediately. That's a beginner's misconception. What we're conveying in this video is that we are in key structures where it is very plausible to expect some sort of indeterminate correction. If we don't surpass these key levels of Bitcoin and the levels of Cardano I'm sharing now, we will remain optimistic about the crypto market. Now look, we are breaking this structure, but here is another hidden structure. A hidden structure of Cardano that I'm sharing with you in this chart. Look at the line. Here is the origin of the breakout. Here we have the black swan, all right? Let's zoom in a bit. What catches our attention here? The breakout, obviously. This buying cluster grabs our attention. These institutional purchases have driven this bullish movement in the market. A bullish movement that, as you're observing, carries a lot of momentum. That's why we consider this level key. And notice this level too. Also with purchases that push the price. We'll consider it crucial as well. Returning to the traditional chart, we see that the entire ecosystem is impacting key levels, knocking on the door, asking to be let through. Then you see Cardano going its own way, breaking structures. Be very careful with Cardano, as this trend is driven by strong forces. So, how can we remain optimistic about Cardano? First point, buying right here is quite risky. So, how can we maintain this positive market outlook? If we see that the levels of $47.22 and $46.48 are not surpassed, meaning that smart money defends one level or the other, and they cannot be surpassed, this will imply that the dominant force continues to control the market trend. And of course, you know the implication if the smart money we've identified decides not to protect their position. It's pretty simple. If the smart money we've identified allows their key levels to be breached downwards, ask yourself, who's buying? Do you understand the moral of the story? With that said, leave your opinion in the comments about what you think might happen in the crypto market in the short and medium term. Also, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so YouTube notifies you of future posts. Good luck with your trades and see you next time.